Spartan Sarah Palmer, Infinity Commander to all Navy, Army, and Marine forces. You can relax. The Spartans are here. Spartan Miller to fire teams.
I have it way down, so tell me if anything plot point happens for you.
Yeah, I have it way down on my side too.
Okay.
We'll have to listen to it and actually watch the video of the game.
Hopefully they'll be very descriptive and point where we need to go and stuff.
Okay, Spartan Jared Miller.
Are we both Spartan Jared? Okay, that's fine.
Let's take this car. This car looks like more fun. It's got rockets.
Yeah, it's got some rockets on it. All right.
I'll try
Let's
this.
see. Oh, good to go.
Okay.
There's a face there talking to us. I don't know what she's.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't get off my screen. Oh, there it goes.
All right, some targets to neutralize. All right. Was that our thing I just destroyed?
It was, yeah. You just took it out.
Okay,
That's not a bad guy. Well, that's a bad guy. Yeah, shoot those guys.
Yeah, hold on, reloading the guns here. There we go.
I gotta talk about your aims today.
Yeah, sorry, it's a little bit of an adjustment here.
After this, we're going back to the target range. Just to use some more.
There we go.
Got it. Nice.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Holy crap! I'm running away.
Yeah, let's back off a little bit. Yeah, okay.
So this is land grab, right? This is like our ancestors taught us.
Yeah, we're taking this. This is actually New Mexico what we're doing.
You hit that gun on top of the mountain range there?
I'm trying to, yeah. It's a guy, I think.
I feel like we're in like a Roadrunner cartoon in this area.
It kind of is. Oh, look at him go.
Look at that.
Oh, this guy with us has a rocket launcher also. Oh, I need to neutralize that. Okay, sorry. Hold still just for a
Yeah,
sec.
sure. They're not really firing it out, so we like it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They're peaceful people.
Trying to negotiate. Give them some blankets.
Yeah. Is that us? Yeah, that's us, I guess.
Yeah, there's something way back. Well, maybe we'll get around the corner here. I think it's. No, it's not our guy. Yeah, you're right. Woo!
Sorry, I need to compensate for the directions. Oh, that guy's shooting at us.
He is, and he's shooting pretty well at us.
It's a really good shot. Okay, they're dropping in some reinforcements too, it looks like.
Oh, that guy's right here.
Oh, hello. Oh, hey, nice job on that guy. Alright, poor little guy. Oh, hello.
What was that?
That guy's coming up behind us?
They convert one of our guys?
I only saw how we were acting and he turned to their side.
He's like the main guy in Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar all over again, exactly. Why can't I hit that thing?
Oh, it's not one of those Banshees or whatever shooting at us.
Okay, yeah, it's more of a priority.
Well, while we're doing this, let's talk about some news of the week.
Okay, yeah.
Really big week for conclusions. So the biggest one I can think of is How I Met Your Mother, because it's just been on for so damn long. People care about it.
Well, and I think a lot of us never watched it until for us it was over Christmas. We just started to watch all the episodes on Netflix, and then you can binge that show really easily.
Yeah.
And then so we went through like 8 seasons of it, and then caught up with the final season just now.
It all kind of blurs together, so it's pretty easy just to keep it on in the background and not really worry about missing anything significant.
Well, and a critic was making the point that it's actually almost a better show to watch in a binge because like the things that annoy you, they don't go week to week. Like annoying characters, they're in a couple episodes and they're gone. So
is that right?
Yeah, but if you watch the show week to week, those characters are around for like months and months. But if you watch it all at one time, I mean, they're in for 3 episodes, 4 episodes, and they're suddenly gone.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's like they're in for an hour rather than for a month or whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, but we watched it. I mean, I've not watched the show much at all. I've seen maybe a handful of episodes before this, so I watched the finale and taped it, and just to try to see how it wrapped up. And yeah, so it's very bizarre finale. The last season was all the wedding, and then at the end.
Yeah, the marriage doesn't last, and that's really frustrating for And then the show makes a point, and I think he does a really good job of showing that that Ted and Robin weren't supposed to be together, and she's better with Barney, and then it seems to turn us back on that premise. Well, hello. I didn't see that guy coming.
He's laying in wait, just quiet.
He really did. Yeah, he just had this tank hiding until he fell into his trap. But and then Barney's character also seemed to go from being someone who was ready to commit to revert to exactly who he was at the start until he had a child, and that it would seem like a very sudden shift that he went from good to bad to good, really quickly in a very kind of cliched way. That once he had a child, that was his clarifying thing, that he became a good guy again. And who knows if that will last either, right? Because he was a good guy when he was dating Robin, then he was a bad guy again when they broke up, then he became a good guy again once he had a daughter. So anyway, the whole ending was very confusing, I think, unless you think of it this way. And I think I have a theory about the ending that it has to do with the next show they're making, the How I Met Your Father show.
Uh-huh.
And so given that Barney at the very end, he meets some random girl, they have a child together. We don't meet that girl. We don't know who she is. She's not a character from the show previously. I'm thinking she'll wind up being one of the characters on the new show they're making, on the How I Met Your Father show. And then maybe Barney will turn out to be the father that she meets at the end of that show.
So, 12 years from now.
Yeah, well, apparently they filmed the ending of How I Met Your Mother years ago with those kids at that age.
Yeah.
So that dialogue they had was filmed several years ago, and they always intended for Ted to wind up with Robin.
I'd be like the easiest spoiler to reveal. That's disappointing if that's the case. That's easily predictable, like you said. That's fascinating.
I haven't seen anyone else say it yet, though, but that Barney could turn out to be the father in How I Met Your Father. There are a lot of guys up there.
There are, yeah.
but I think that could be where they're going with it, and that would explain why everything got so weirdly random at the end. That suddenly they go from all the characters seem to revert to type, and all the growth they seem to have in the last several seasons just goes away.
Yeah, it's just you're right. It's just you set the plot device for him to be the father. That makes more sense that way.
Yeah, it makes more sense. It's not any more acceptable. It doesn't make the ending of the show any less, annoying. But it does make a little bit more sense in terms of why things turn out the way they did. So that's my theory. I think the reason they ended it the way they did is because Barney's going to turn out to be the father in How I Met Your Father, and then they had we'll wait 9 seasons. And in case Neil Patrick Harris doesn't look thin as he does now, I bet you they've already filmed the ending with him. So. That's how that will turn out. That's my theory. It's kind of out there.
So when does the How I Met Your Father show start?
I think it starts this fall.
I can't remember right now, by the way.
That's not good.
Disabled the car. So on the note, endings as well. I did beat Dark Souls 2 this week. Finally, I spent roughly 60 hours with that game. Remarkably long for the series. It's one of it's easily the longest one I think of the Souls series. But it did wrap it up, and it was I'll say it was appropriately disappointing in the finale.
That's too bad.
Well, the games have never really been known for having fantastic conclusions. The previous two games have given you an option at the end to see one of two different endings. Either you kind of let the curse of the world continue and you recycle everything, or you end this kind of more guys jumping in.
I'm trying to blow up the ship. Maybe I'll stop them.
Yeah, maybe so. You end kind of the torment, and you take over as king of the dark world. And your two options typically. And the previous two games give you those options. This game, at the end, they suggest you're gonna have those options, but you really don't. At the end, there isn't a choice, which kind of doesn't really. I kind of appreciate because it really doesn't matter. It's just one of two different cutscenes you'll get at the end of the game.
That's true. Yeah,
you'll watch the other one on YouTube.
It's just make a replay value, but in a very cheap way.
Yeah, and
because they have to kill that thing.
There's enough replay in the actual game itself. You could just play as a different character or fight bosses in different ways. There's so many different ways to replay the game as it is, but that's an arbitrary one they didn't pick this time, which I kind of appreciate.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's ultimately it's just about you have this kind of Game of Thrones like thing where somebody's taking over as kind of queen of the domain, and you end up working for her for a while to kill off other people, and then she's left standing, and then you have to fight her last. Wow, we rolled that Dukes of Hazzard style. And you fight her, and at the end you take over and you're presented the choice that you can either end the suffering or you can become king, and you sit down on the throne, and the door's closed on you. You don't know what you're going to pick, and that's the end of the game.
Oh, that's cool. I kind of like that.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I think it was a good way to wrap up the game, but I think the game itself, I like the fact it didn't really try to give you any arbitrary options in the finale. I've been reading about it after the fact. There's actually a lot of correlations with Dark Souls 1 that I didn't really read were there, which I kind of like too. the game is not, the story is not well told. It's almost deliberately obtuse, and that's the way it is. But there is a lot of, I mean, Dark Souls 1 is about you're in this kingdom called Lordran or something like that, and you fight these characters, the Dragon Slayer guys, and certain bosses over and over again, and you're told that this is a cycle that's been repeating for ages. This is a cycle of souls trying to rise to the top and become king of this domain, and that's the story of Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 2, you're in a different kingdom, but it looks similar in certain places, and it's a different name. But some of the bosses you fight look kind of oddly like the bosses from Dark Souls 1. And so what they're suggesting is like this is like the Souls continued in a different form. Like this is just another cycle to the same kind of story. And it actually, when you start looking back, you start recognizing the bosses and remembering that these guys sort of exist in the first game in a different form.
And that's interesting. So it's the same bosses from the first game, just slightly different.
Yeah. And there are connections you can make. And you can say this is just thousands of years later, when the kingdom's now called something else and looks a little bit different, but it's still the same place, ultimately.
Well, can you give an example, like when you saw, like, I never played the first game, so I don't even know.
Well, I can't remember the Small and Orstein, the Dragon Slayer guys, the ones that come on first. They're like the hardest bosses in the first game. Two guys you fight at once. And
everyone hates those guys.
Yeah, this game, those guys show up again, but they're a little bit easier. And Ornstein's one of the names of the guys, and it's just there. You don't really pick up on it, but it's just there. And there's a guy named the Rotten in this game. Is kind of this guy looks like Hades, and there's a guy in the first game that looks like him too. You fight. I forgot the boss's name, but he's in this game again. So there's that kind of stuff. So a guy in Forbes kind of pointed it out, and I commented on our Twitter feed, but he's the one who kind of called it. So this looks like there are connections being made to Dark Souls 1 if you look for them.
Interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah. That was pretty easy.
That was pretty easy.
But I said that was pretty easy, previous level. So Dark Souls 2 is not easy. That's a good segue into.
Good, yes.
I want to talk about like the best. Like so, Dark Souls 2, I think is one of the better hard games I've played. And I'm trying to think back to other really hard games that are worth playing. And not games that get hard, because games normally typically get hard towards the end of the game, and better games do that very, very well. But Dark Souls 2 makes a point just to beat you up from the start. Does not give you much of a tutorial. If you haven't played Dark Souls 1, you'll be tremendously lost for large periods of time. Even if you had, you'll still be lost.
Well, Dark Souls 1 was really good about that too. You start in the insane asylum, or the asylum for the undead, and then you're immediately given that really difficult boss to beat. And you got to figure out how to jump down on his head and kill him from there. But when I started playing the game, it's frustrating, like right off the start.
Well, yeah, when you first walk in there, actually, the guy shows up. You got to run away because you don't even have a weapon yet.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tremendously difficult. And I think, to be fair to the Dark Souls guys, they have little orange messages waiting for you. You can play that tutorial level just to try to show you how to read those things and use that to lean on that knowledge. But yeah, they don't tell you that unless you look for it.
That's interesting.
You need to run away. You need to attack when you fall, and they try to teach you that as you go. But it is trial by fire kind of an experience. But Dark Souls 2 does largely the same thing. I mean, you start out in the tutorial world of torches and pathways and zombies and some really three huge, really kind of Goliath-like beasts that you really can't kill unless you're extremely good to start. And, you have to come back later on to kill them, and then finally you get to a town called Majula. And after Majula, then you find even harder areas, but it doesn't really tell you where to go. And there's multiple pathways, and so you're just kind of on your own. Unless you're using like a walkthrough, you're on your own, and it's hard from the start. So, anyways, want to think about other games that are hard from the start that are worth playing.
Well, yeah, because I just finished up Hotline Miami, and that for me that was hard from the start because shoot, got blown up by a grenade.
Oh, we were waiting on this.
Because it's a fun little game, and the controls are pretty straightforward, but it's like you have to learn how to play it, and that if you screw up, you're going to get in trouble really quickly. And so, when I first started playing, I thought it was the kind of game where I could just sneak up behind the bad guys and get them, but it's not that at all. It's if you try and sneak up behind them and you're not very subtle about it, they'll just turn around and kill you with one hit. And so it's a tough game, but once you get over that and once you figure out how to play, it's very easy. It's much not easy, but it's much easier, and you don't have that same kind of difficulty spike. The spike comes really early in the game, and once you get the early patterns down, everything after that's really easy.
And you feel like that was worth it, right?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, especially how cheap it is. It's fantastic. We'll get a review up soon, but it's a fun little game. The levels are like 45 minutes or at most 20 minutes somewhere in there. They're very bite sized, It's really dark, and the music's surprisingly great, and then just the whole atmosphere of how kind of the insanity your character seems to be going through is really cool too. So yeah, I'll talk more about it in the review, but it's really good.
Kind of like Max Payne 3 in that way.
Yeah, but music-wise, it's very much like Max Payne 3. Max Payne, I think, was insane too, but for all the wrong reasons. He was just drunk and not much of a tactician. But for other games that get tough early, but aren't necessarily tough overall, I was thinking Out of This World too is really good for that. Because you start off and you walk right into the monster you have to run away from.
You start on the water, right? And you get out of the water first.
You swim up, and then your first challenge is realizing that you can't fight this guy, and you have to walk one way, then run the other direction. But for games that when you start that game, if you don't know what you're doing, you can die instantly. And then you have to kind of from that you kind of figure out how to play the game.
Yeah, and it's like without any kind of message or warning, you're just dead. Like it takes you a while to understand what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then once you understand how to play, you can figure out what the strategies are. But when I started playing the game, I was so used to running and shooting, and I thought, okay, this is supposed to have to kick the monster and punch it or something like that. Now you just have to run away from it until someone else comes to save you. Yeah.
That was a good one. I wanted to bring up kind of obvious ones I had for us. I remember the first time we played Resident Evil 1.
Yeah.
And it just beat the hell out of us.
Well, I was going to bring up that. I think a better example is Resident Evil 2, because it throws you right into the zombies, right? It's like you crash the car, and Resident Evil 1 has kind of a slow build to the zombies.
Yeah, but there's a learning curve to at least play Resident Evil games. So I was used to just shooting everything in that game. You got to conserve your ammo. It's a learning curve.
Oh, that's true.
Learning curve we did not have. And I think we had to watch somebody else who knew the game play first, where we understood how to play the game, which took us off guard in our first experience of that game. But 2 was good in that way. I think actually 4 is the best example.
I was going to say that too. Yeah, 4 throws you in deep with the guys who kill you instantly, which is a new thing.
The chainsaw guys. That was an amazing way to start the game, and crazy hard to start the game.
You're crazy hard, but it's like that's almost the best part of that whole game. It's the first village. It's certainly the most iconic part.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. My other example I had, game I really enjoyed, and it's tragic because the sequel is horrible, was Ninja Gaiden for the Xbox.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was, I mean, the first level was incredibly sharp. I mean, I'm a fan of the Nintendo games, and I thought the Xbox game was well done. And the first level, to have you go around the dojo, have to fight kind of the sensei guy at the end with the nunchucks.
And he was difficult.
He was, and it's like, if you can get past the first level, you can beat the game. But you have to get past the first level. You have to learn how to play the game that way. And it was a good learning curve, and it's incredibly hard to do it, but once you get past it, you can beat the rest of the game. And the second one, man, just what a misfire of a game. Like, it didn't have the same polish. It had a lot of large platforming sequences on top of ships that didn't go well, and the challenge just wasn't worth it anymore. It went south really quickly.
Yeah, well, and I think all the subsequent Ninja Gaiden games haven't been up to the first.
Yeah, they nailed it with the first one somehow, and instead they can never recreate that success.
Well, I think the best example that we've had recently is Dead Space 2.
Okay.
Where it just throws you in right away into this horrifying situation.
You're in the straitjacket, running away from everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, your monsters everywhere. You're definitely going to die the first 8 seconds you play the game. You'll be killed horribly. But then once you get past that, and then the rest of the game is not easier by any means, but it's more of a typical Dead Space game.
Yeah.
That game starts hard fast, and then slows down afterwards as you find guns and stuff to use.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I'm struggling to think of other ones that are like, I want to play through how I want to be the guy, but I know it's just arbitrarily hard. Like, that's the point of the game. Wow, you're getting charged,
swordmen. Yeah.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's do best of luck.
I got the one.
Get away from me. I need an ammo. Okay,
right,
you're back. You're gonna try to take him on. Oh, nice.
I am.
And you got a sword too.
That's right. And his wife.
And his wife. They only come with that.